name is Christine Gilfillin. I'm the Associate Director at Berks Women in Crisis. Welcome to our video and podcast series called The Place You Start. And I'm really excited today because my guest is Gwen Gage. And Gwen has been involved with Berks Women in Crisis for many years. She was a board member and past board president as well. And most of you will know Gwen as one of the owners of Gage Personnel, the founder, I believe, of Gage Personnel. So I'm really excited to have her here today, and I want to ask you first, you've been involved for a long time with Berks Women in Crisis. What was it that led you to become involved with the agency?
Unfortunately, about 15 years ago, we had a situation where my daughter was breaking up with her boyfriend, and she went to visit him at college, and I received a phone call that something was really wrong with her. She didn't know where she was, anything, so I quickly rushed up to the college and found her curled up in a ball in the hospital, not knowing anything, and it was the most traumatic experience I've ever had to go through. So from there we came back home, and it was an abusive boyfriend who took the doorknob off the door, locked her in. Who knows what he did to her. But from that moment on, our life had changed, and did not know where to go and who to turn to. And a friend of mine told me about Berks Women in Crisis, and we made a phone call, and that was the moment that we were able to get back on track. We had the most wonderful counselors that helped us get through all of this, and because of that, Kelly and I grew and were able to mend all of our issues and came back together as a mother and daughter.
Wow, what a story. So it was after that point.
Yes.
I wasn't sure. I was aware a little bit about your story, but I wasn't sure if that all happened before you became involved with the organization or at the same time,
That is
or
why I became
what that
involved.
timing was.
Yes.
Okay, wow. And then, so we're going to go back to that story in just a couple of minutes and talk a little bit more about that. But what was it about being involved with the board of directors, or how the way that unfolded? How did that also change your life or change the way that you saw these issues? Because you were with the board for how long?
2 terms, like 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time.
And a lot happened.
A lot happened
During those years.
Yes.
So what was that like?
I started at the Capitol campaign before we even had the new building. So I was on the Capitol campaign, and we had all the board meetings in my office at Gage Personnel because the building was being built. And so I was so happy to do that. And from that, I learned so much about Berks Women in Crisis and how people are affected. People that you would never suspect would have an issue of any kind. It could be any, income level that could go through it. But for me and my daughter going through this was just something that I just could not even tell you what it was like.
Right.
So.
Well, and I want to thank you, first of all, for being willing to share part of that story with us. And I wanted to also let everyone know that that's not the end of that sharing of the story.
No, it's not.
Because we have a couple of, this is our 40th anniversary of we've been talking about in the last few episodes, and we have some events coming up in November and December where once again you'll be in the spotlight and sharing that story and sharing your support for the agency. So it's part of an education series that we're doing called the Healthy Village Project, and the first event will be November 27th at Penn State Berks, where Gwen and her daughter Kelly Gage Mosey will be on a panel for college students and for community members talking about whatever part of that experience that you'd like to share. And then also what can be done. I think one of the things is about what can be done to help others or to make others, and in particular college students in this case, familiar with the services or the supports that are being offered. So
it was such an eye-opening experience. I would never have dreamt that in my wildest dreams that something like that could happen to Kelly with an ex-boyfriend, and it can happen at any time. So to hear it on the college campus and really tell people what we went through, I think would be a very good eye-opener for the parents and the kids.
I think so too. And also the district attorney's office will be there. They want to talk about sort of what the legal options are or the legal resources are that may be available. And also the responsibilities of college campuses to respond when things like this happen and make sure that people get the support and the resources that they need. It's just very gratifying to know that all of these years later, that was able to work out for you and for your daughter and for your family. The other thing that's very exciting, once again, is that on December 12th, when we have our celebration of peace, a big 40th anniversary celebration, Gwen and Kelly will receive the Voices for Change Award, which is given to people or organizations who further the cause of the agency, further the idea of getting the word out there about the fact that this happens to a lot of people and that resources are available and that there are stories that have very positive endings or outcomes. So I don't know how you're feeling about that,
I'm very,
it's
very
anticipation.
honored and so happy to be given that award. It's just such an honor for Kelly and I. And she will definitely be an excellent speaker there and tell exactly what she went through.
I think that she will.
She is very good.
So what about going forward in the future? How do you see continuing to be involved with the agency?
I would love to stay involved, yes. As I cut back my hours at work, I would like to get more involved with Berks Women in Crisis and do more to help them.
And we'll be so fortunate if that's the way that continues.
I would love to do that.
To happen.
That's my goal.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience about the agency or about your involvement?
No, just whatever I can do to help is something that I really have a passion for.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you because I think it takes a lot of courage to tell that story. We are so grateful. So many people will be able to connect to that story and maybe see something, see a way out for themselves or see a way toward help for themselves. So November 27th at Penn State Berks, December 12th at the Celebration of Peace at the DoubleTree, and all of the information about those events can be found on our website. And I want to thank you for your service
thank you very
on
much,
our board
Christine.
and for being willing to tell this story and continue to support the agency.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to The Place You Start. We have guests stopping by each week. Check in again for more stories at berkswomenincrisis.org. And be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.